Before I get started, I would ask that if you enjoy this type of comic book related content, please give the video a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future videos. And if you enjoy talking comics, then comment below. Alright, let's get into it. It is Sunday, July 28th, day after me, my brother, our aunt and uncle, and our sister and her family went and saw Deadpool Wolverine. We're going to kind of give our overall thoughts on the movie. There's definitely going to be spoilers, so if you haven't gone to see the movie yet, definitely don't listen to this if you care about spoilers until after you have gone to see the movie. It's going to be kind of a rambling discussion about the movie. It's how myself and my brother talk about movies that we go to see after we have gone to see them, and just have like I said, a random conversation about things we liked in the movie, things that worked, things that didn't, things we were unclear about. I hope you enjoy this discussion. Yeah. Let's get started.
Okay, so this is the first movie review podcast.
Uh-huh.
That we're, or video, whatever you want to call it, that we're doing.
Yes.
And so we need a rating system that we agree on. I am strongly in favor of the 3-point system.
Okay.
That is what Michelin, the restaurant review and travel guide company, uses. It's 1 star. It's no stars, 1, 2, and 3 star Michelin restaurant.
I thought they went up to 5 stars.
I don't think so. I think 3 is the top.
Okay.
Because ultimately, that and Siskel and Ebert, thumbs up, thumbs down, and I think they had neutral. That's all you need.
Okay.
The IMDb 10-star thing is terrible. Hate it. So here's my movie review system.
Okay.
Recommended, neutral, not recommended. Because ultimately, it's a question of, like Ebert said, it's a question of, did the filmmakers pull off what they were trying to get?
Sure.
And that I can rate.
Okay.
Did they pull off what they were trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
I can't pull off whether you'll like it or not. That depends on the subject matter, the material and everything.
Purely subjectivity.
Yeah. So all I can say is I'd recommend it. They pulled it off if you're into what they're putting down, or not. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of movies where I love the premise, but they just don't pull it off. Okay, so
before you get started,
the reason I wanted to do that is because I'm gonna just spoil the heck out of it.
This is all spoilers.
I thought we could give recommended, not recommended. We could. Up at the start,
okay,
so that people could listen to that without then
sure.
Spoiler. Highly recommended. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay. I am in simpatico with you.
Yeah, I
would absolutely recommend this movie. I would probably put this in the Deadpool movie ranking. Deadpool 1 is at top. I would put this one above Deadpool 2 even.
Yes. Definitely above Deadpool 2. And I would say even on an artistic level, which is wild to be saying about a movie called Deadpool and Wolverine. But on an artistic level, it is far superior to the first. I don't know if it's a better movie than the first Deadpool. Mm-hmm. I haven't rewatched it, and I was going to last night, but then it started bumming me out like I get cancer, so I stopped. But on an artistic level, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. They really achieved something.
They definitely went for it in terms of the writing and everything they put on screen.
And also when I say artistic, I also mean the message there, the thematic elements of the movie. Mm-hmm. I think are the best Marvel's ever done.
That was a very hot take.
I know it is,
because Infinity War and Endgame exist.
Yeah, those are dumb.
Iron Man exists.
I love his workshop, but also dumb. Vapid, empty pieces of art that have nothing to say. They even Iron Man, the original one, which I really do like as a movie, and I've rewatched a bunch of times. And like I said, I want Tony Stark's workshop.
Black Panther exists.
And I just don't, because that one has larger significance that I don't want to like beat up on, because like I respect that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
talk some ass.
But like the original Iron Man, war is bad. Making weapons of war are bad. Also, my weapon of war is awesome, and I'm gonna keep it under my own control. I'm a one-man war machine. In fact, the identical suit is called War Machine.
Yeah.
But so like war is bad unless I get to control it.
Yes.
It's insane. It's nonsense. So yeah, most of the Marvel movies have no message. Just like the bad guy's bad and the good guy's good, except sometimes they're not. The other thing I'd say, and here's how you'll know if you'll like this movie. Mm-hmm. Did you read Wizard magazine in the 90s?
Speaking for myself, obviously I did.
Me too, because they were laying around, so I'd look at them.
Yes.
Even though I have little interest in superhero comics.
You had no interest in comics at that time.
No, but Casting Call was awesome. Love a Casting Call.
Before you continue on the Wizard magazine route, you should point out that you are not a comic book reader, collector.
No.
If I weren't in your life as your brother, who is a comic collector and has deep interest in comic books, you probably wouldn't care about these movies and probably would not have seen the vast majority of them at all. I
am an effete hipster, and I would know nothing about comic books or sports if you weren't in my life. I probably never would have watched the Marvel movies, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. I definitely would have watched a few, but like not followed it nearly as closely. You would not have seen almost every single movie. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've really fallen off in the last few years.
You definitely have not seen almost all of the Disney Plus shows.
No.
And you haven't seen most of the recent MCU movies.
Yeah. Because
we just haven't gone to the theater to see them.
Yeah. You can tell if I know a comic book property outside of stuff my brother would share with me, if it's like middle brow, like popular, Hawkeye, Y the Last Man. I know that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the level I engage with comics. So.
With that knowledge, understand where his viewpoints are going to come from.
Yeah.
As a quote-unquote outsider.
Yeah. And to be clear, I've followed it reasonably closely because, like, I like talking with my brother, and this is the stuff he's interested in, and, so, like, we hang out, and I learn about comic book stuff and engage with it, I bring philosophical reasoning to any material, and, and so all I'm saying is there are so many jokes in that movie, in this movie, that, like, are you could only possibly hope to understand if, like, you had read Wizard Casting Call. Even, like, Gambit as Channing Tatum.
Other way around.
Or, sorry. Even Channing Tatum as Gambit is such an obscure joke.
Yeah.
That you have to go back, 15 years?
I can't remember if it was before or after X-Men Origins Wolverine when Channing Tatum was signed on to play Gambit.
Yeah.
Because in the movie, obviously, it's that other dude from, like, Friday Night Lights or something, whatever he's from, who plays Gambit.
Oh, yeah,
and I don't know if the Channing Tatum Gambit stuff was prior to that movie and it eventually got scrapped and recast for that movie, or if it was after that movie kind of flopped and they were going to do a solo Gambit movie and he was signed on to play Gambit.
Yeah.
And it just never went anywhere. Yeah.
So, okay, here's the cut point. I'll just say, if you ever read a Wizard magazine in the 90s, this is a top movie. Like, it is like they pulled off what they were trying to do, and they did it really well. It was extremely funny, but only if you followed comic book movie madness from the year 2000 forward.
There was a high level of fan casting cameos and past character cameos, which I enjoyed all of them. I was surprised they didn't do more, and I wonder how much budget factored into that.
Yeah, probably.
Like just to get the sheer number of stars that would be required to do all these fan casting cameos.
He even made a joke about, did you see how much Chris Evans was ballooning our budget? Like, we couldn't afford it anymore. That's why we had to rip his skin off. Yeah. It was a great joke.
It was.
Again, only funny if you know anything about, like, movie making and, like, cameo and, like, contracts and stuff. Anyways.
I was surprised we didn't get more. Based on all of the... Like, you didn't follow any of the... You don't deep dive into stuff prior to movies coming out, like
typically, no.
Like for me, one of the main YouTube channels that does like all these prediction stuff and breaks down trailers and movies is the New Rockstars channel. I love watching them and like listening to, like they'll take a little Easter egg in a trailer and try and predict what that might mean for the movie and who might show up, and they had a ton of possible cameos that they were trying to predict. And honestly, as many cameos as we got, I don't think we got enough. Like, I wanted more.
Sure.
And one of the cameos, I was really surprised we didn't get it in the way that I think we should have.
Yeah.
Was, and again, major spoilers here.
Yeah. No, we gave our review, and then after that, you should have watched it.
I know.
Or
but
not,
it was that at the end, when the Deadpool core shows up, and Lady Deadpool is the one in the front.
Yeah.
That is Blake Lively.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't see her face, I think was the wrong decision.
I cannot disagree with you more.
I mean, screw you. We definitely should have seen her face just to hit home the point that it's Blake Lively.
So this is where I feel like...
It's because she doesn't have an immediately recognizable voice to tell us that's Blake Lively. Yeah. That is Blake Lively. All you have to do is hear her voice for a second. You know it's her.
Yeah.
She doesn't have that.
Yeah.
That's why I feel you need to see her face.
This is where, and we're gonna get into Two Guys, a Gal, and a Pizza Place as like also the people who will like this show. If you like Ryan Reynolds' shtick, which I deeply do.
Yes.
Since Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, I just what he finds funny, I also find funny.
Yes.
In a like deep way.
Yes.
And Deadpool, and it's funny. You get the real sense that actually Deadpool shaped Ryan Reynolds' sense of humor.
Sure.
The way he talks about it.
Yeah.
And then he became the perfect person to play that character because it had shaped him. It's kind of a fascinating circularity there.
His sense of humor has kind of evolved a little leaning towards the Deadpool sensibilities.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of other movies he's done since.
Yeah.
And I can absolutely see that.
But he always has that fourth wall breaking attitude. He always has like sort of a quick-wittedness all the way back to Two Guys, a Gal. He was my favorite character on there.
Obviously.
Like, he was the reason I watched it. It's the only reason I remember that show is because like I dug him.
I had a huge crush on the gal.
Yeah, sure. She's also... I would say it is such a deft hand that handled the comedy in all the Deadpool movies, I'd say. And it is, I think, to Ryan Reynolds' credit. Because I suspect he has a large hand in the movies.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing he's a producer as well on them.
Yeah.
And that, like, he doesn't go too much. Because like too many cameos, you become Force Awakens and the Star Wars sequels. And it's funny, I actually think it's such a funnier joke that all the people who never take the masks off are all very famous. Like, it wasn't just Blake Lively. Like, I saw a bunch of names, I can't remember them now.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion was the floating head.
Yeah. That is such a better joke. And then, again, this movie is only funny if you are like... like, you have to also know, like, Blake Lively, I think, is married to Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And, like, that's also why she is the lady.
That's why I wanted them to hit it home even more.
And funny enough, in Force Awakens, I always think it's funny that some of the stormtroopers are extremely famous actors. Like, one of them is Daniel Craig, right? Like, that's a great bit.
Sure.
And I don't need you to take the mask off. You, like, planting a joke for the credits, and I respect that.
The difference being, Force Awakens is a deeply serious sci-fi movie.
Maybe too much.
In their presentation.
Yeah.
Deadpool Wolverine is not.
Yeah.
They are going for the comedy, going for the ridiculousness. So I don't think it can be ruined by too many cameos.
Yeah. No, the fact that they don't take the mask off and show Blake Lively's face, or not that I would probably even really recognize Blake Lively's face, but that I think that is why it is a thumbs up movie for me, and because like I would find it tedious, too many cameos, too many things like that.
I wonder also the difference that we're having here is that I come from the comic book world.
Yeah, that you all love your cameos.
I want that fan service.
I know. I mean,
the articles that criticize movies that go heavy on fan service, in my opinion, are dumb. I want that.
I think they kept
I'm a fan for a reason.
I think the problem that happens with fan service in movies is, like, you can have as much fan service as you want. You can have all the good fan service that you want. Mm-hmm. But the problem is the fan service can cloud whether it's good or not, right? Like putting chocolate syrup on top of mediocre ice cream is, like, not a great analogy. But, like, you know, it hides it. And, like, I would say Deadpool kept in all the good fan service.
So
and it had no real bad ones.
I think it's more in how it's used. I think it's a problem when a spotlight, a section of the movie is dedicated to it. What I was looking for was, like, when they show up, they have their fight, and Deadpool Wolverine kill all of them. It should have been like Wolverine, like, slices off her mask somewhat so you see her face under it. It is just a brief thing. It doesn't take away from the scene at all. It's just that Easter egg. Like, oh, that's Blake Lively. Yeah. That's funny. She's his wife. Wants to kill him.
Yeah. Sorry, you just reminded me about Nice Pool. Just like that he's the one that doesn't... That is...
Can we please talk about Nice Pool?
There's a rare number of movies where there's a joke in the movie that gets me to laugh so hard I struggle to breathe. And I remember most of these instances in my life of when I struggled to breathe because something was so funny. And Nice Pool and, like, Wolverine saying you did that on purpose. And Nice Pool not regenerating. I could not breathe, and I was sitting next to my aunt, who is the nicest person, one of the nicest people I know in this world. Top 3 nicest people I know. And I'm laughing because this character is so pretty, and the Deadpool can't allow him to live. And then intentionally gets him killed, and then takes his guns. And I was laughing so hard, and it made me feel so bad, because I'm sure she wasn't. Because it's horrible.
I think that was the hardest I laughed at the entire movie. you did that on purpose. Every little... when Ryan Reynolds is talking to himself, and, like, like say like he's like get him help or whatever. Wolverine quips, no, he's not. Like he's like discrediting everything Ryan Reynolds is saying to him. Nice pool. We're gonna go over to the donut car. It's basically a medical triage unit. He stops. Yeah, when he stops in the middle of the street and takes more gunfire.
It's such a, and you know, I think also if you have a fairly juvenile sense of humor, Deadpool really rings.
The fact that he wanted him dead so he could get his dog and his guns.
And because it wasn't fair that he was still pretty. You know, Ryan Reynolds, he's a pretty guy. And I do think that is one of the good jokes in the movie is that Deadpool is, you know, disfigured.
Yeah.
And that, like, but it's Ryan Reynolds, this very pretty boy, playing him.
Yeah.
Anyways, that, like, this is the one that's still pretty looking.
Come to your papa.
Yeah. And he just can't be allowed to continue. Like, it's not fair.
Oh, God, that was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, the fact that he came back. Oh. When he spit up the blood, I was not expecting that. And then you have the realization, oh, he's not well. Because it was funny, even funnier is Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool didn't know Nice Pool wasn't able to regenerate at that point.
Yeah.
When he like made him a body shield and stopped in the street before going behind the car. Like, he didn't know he was going to regenerate, or wasn't going to regenerate at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Which made it even funnier.
So, overall, okay, I also... and this is where this movie, I think it's far better than it has any right to be.
Uh-huh.
That, like, again, to go back to, like, you will love this movie, I think, if you like have followed Marvel movie madness since casting calls in the back of Wizard magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Reynolds, he's a part of that whole thing because he's trying to get Deadpool made for forever, right? Like, I think going back to like early 2000s, he's trying to get Deadpool made. I mean, didn't they even like he pay for the intro to be made to the first Deadpool basically as like a or some?
So what happened was after X-Men Origins Wolverine flopped, everyone hated that portrayal of Deadpool. He kind of was on a like crusade to bring the character in its comic book truest form to screen. Yeah. And so he worked kind of behind the scene with getting the script written, getting test footage created. Yeah. And to this day, no one knows officially who leaked that test footage on YouTube that created such fan fervor to get a Deadpool movie made in that form. Yeah. Everyone just assumes Ryan Reynolds was the one that leaked it.
I mean, you'd have to think.
Like, it makes sense.
Because also, he just has such good taste. Like his shtick is like being as arrogant as possible while walking the line of likability. Yeah. And he has such good taste in that way that he knows people will love him as Deadpool. So of course he leaked it.
Because I think, and I don't, it's been so long now since that happened. I want to think the story was that the executives at Fox saw the test footage and didn't have faith in it or weren't going to pursue it. Yeah. And that's why he leaked it, to prove to the executive level at Fox, like, this is a viable money endeavor for you. The fans want this. They will love this. And because it had, like, overwhelmingly positive reaction, and the sheer amount of reaction led to it getting made. But they still, like, hedged their bets by only giving him, like, a $50 million budget on that first movie.
So Ryan Reynolds is a part of this what I'm calling the Marvel movie madness of the last, like, 25-ish years or so. Last 30 years almost. Like, I feel like from the start of the X-Men animated series, like, people are looking for a live action X-Men movie. Sure. Like, especially, like, your generation. Yeah. Anyways, Ryan Reynolds is a part of that. And then Hugh Jackman as like the only actor who is allowed to play Wolverine.
Yes.
Everyone agrees at this point, I guess.
Yeah.
And that he's in the first X-Men movie. Anyways, the Deadpool, the credits roll with like footage from the original making that original X-Men and live action, which for sure set off the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Like, I know it was Fox who made it, but like
Kevin Feige was one of the executive producers on the first X-Men movie.
Sure, exactly, yes.
Yeah.
And so it's like a 30-year project of a bunch of people at Marvel and whatever to make bring superheroes to the live action, screen. And I found it so touching, that footage. Like, because legit, for however stupid all this stuff is, like, it obviously isn't clean water is more important than Marvel superheroes, right?
Yes.
But like, it has been meaningful, especially for like you and I's relationship. But like, I don't know, it was very touching because I also I found it very touching because of that history, and that whole movie is also about the Marvel Cinematic movie. The number of jokes in there about Disney buying Fox, and like what's now allowed, and even like all the characters that are actually Marvel characters that weren't owned by Fox that can now be, as well as like referencing the Avengers and stuff. Like all of that is only possible now because Disney owns Fox. Yeah. Which, it's insane that I know that. Like, people who went and watched Gone with the Wind didn't know about like the movie studio machinations. Sure. Of like all the people involved in making Gone with the Wind possible. It was like a huge thing, but I do because ultimately the most interesting thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is like the business plan.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, because I'll say artistically, nobody needs a movie saying that like killing half of humanity is bad. Sure. Like, that's not like a bold position to stake out. Right. Like, that's an easy position to stake out to then bang action figures together for 2 hours and collect $24 in concessions. $24 for popcorn, Milk Duds, and a soda. $24. I know I'm old, but jeez, that's gouging. I'm sorry. We need to nationalize AMC theaters. Okay. The most interesting thing, and the thing that we all talk about, is like how they all connect, right? And like how long is Downey's contract for, and like and that will determine what art they make. The contract law determines what art, and this isn't a wild thing about Hollywood, but that it is art through capitalism, and so the business determines the art, and Marvel just took that to a new level, right? And it is the most interesting thing, all these movies that string together, and as well as the business dealings, and then everyone is blown away because Avengers makes $1 billion. Like, it's all the business parts of the movie. The whole movie is jokes about the business dealings of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Fox and Disney, and only crazy people who know all about that for no reason, right, would find this funny. But I do, because like you and I have like watched all these movies, like many other people obviously, but just like, and so it's really good if you read Marvel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's insane that half the jokes are about the Disney Corporation's financial wheelings and dealings. It's a weird movie, dude.
The sheer volume of digs at the whole Marvel, Fox, business dynamics was more than the first two movies combined.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also what makes me feel like it's almost a capstone to what we have known as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That this thing that started with Downey on a 3-movie contract, or like a open-ended contract or whatever, and that culminated in the Avengers, the first Avengers movie, and just like the ultimate expression of the MCU is a parody, a Deadpool parody or like mocking a movie mocking the whole cinematic universe concept, which is what they're doing.
Sure.
And so it felt very like capstone-y to me as well.
Sure.
Not to say that like the MC, I don't think the MCU is dead by any measure. There's just too much money to be made there. But like, it's gonna be different. I feel like.
It is. It has been and always will be as dominant and as strong as it can be based on the writing of the movies. They present a good story that is presented well.
Yeah.
Then people are going to love it.
Yeah.
Go back to Iron Man, the first one, through this current phase.
Yeah.
This recent quote unquote downturn in perception, or people thinking that the Marvel movies like are in a bad place, is because the writing for the recent movies hasn't been as good.
Sure.
It wasn't a lack of interest in those characters or anything. You go back to Thor 2, The Dark World. Like, you did not care for that movie at all.
I did not. Nobody
And
did.
Most people don't. I think it's better than it gets credit for, but the writing wasn't as strong as the first one or what came after.
Yeah.
And like that's always going to be the case. Like that's just how, for the most part, movies are graded on. Like that's the scale. Like, people are gonna say Marvel's back because this movie's going to make at least $1 billion.
I actually have no idea, because again, how many people are in my boat or in our boat who know all the background to make a lot of those jokes funny? I feel like I'm saying, like, I was imagining my daughters watching that movie, and they would find nothing funny except the crass jokes.
But there's a lot that's funny in the movie without knowing the context. But it's the projections prior to this opening weekend.
Yeah.
Was in the $250 to $300 million range.
It's just printing money.
And when that's your projected opening weekend, like that has in the last like 10 years, that has meant that it's going to touch that $1 billion mark. God, at least.
Ryan Reynolds must be just rolling in money. No wonder he can buy a cell phone company.
And it's why he can buy a soccer team.
Yeah. Oh my god, because he must make so much money off of Deadpool, like, because he was so integral to it being made, and like God knows how much money he himself put up to begin with to like get it rolling for like a share of or whatever. Like he must be so just crazy wealthy, and like he also, you cannot make Deadpool without him. There is no other actor who can pull off that character in the same way like Downey and Iron Man. Like, because Downey's history as an actor was so reminiscent of the character, he just embodied it so well that you can't have Iron Man without Robert Downey Jr.
Yes.
You can't have, and so he must make so much money.
Yes. One thing I do want to get back to is the cameos. One thing I was disappointed in, based on the pre-movie speculation about cameos, was when we got at the beginning, when he goes on his hunt for the right Wolverine or whatever, to the various different universes. Almost all of them were just different iterations of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, outside of the one Henry Cavill as Wolverine.
What did they call him?
The Calverine.
It's such a bizarre joke. Also, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it is really quite an achievement of a movie, I feel like.
It's funny because there has been, I don't know if it's been legitimate rumors or fan like casting of wanting Henry Cavill to take over the mantle as Wolverine in the MCU.
No.
He has the physique to do it, but I agree they should just find someone else.
He's also really tall, isn't he?
Well, Hugh Jackman's like 6'3" or something.
Really?
He's tall.
No way.
He is.
I had just never noticed, and I assume they do some amount of forced perspective, because he is supposed to be kind of tiny.
I think it was from X-Men, the first X-Men movie, all the way back in 2000, they just said, screw it,
Yeah.
we're not going to deal with the comic accurate hype issue with Wolverine.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
They just never cared.
I wonder if I just saw what I thought I was gonna see. 'Cause
And yeah, I'm sure there are times where they just don't do it. But like when you see him standing next to other characters, like he's taller than Ryan Reynolds, I think.
it's quite possible. I guess it didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, I really like. That's where when I say I wanted more cameos. One of the when they New Rockstars was breaking down the trailer footage, in the trailer they show that Patch scene where he's coming in from behind, and you see him sitting at that poker table or whatever, the white suit.
Yeah, and he stabs him.
Yeah. In the trailer, you only see the back, and so they were trying to predict who's going to be that Patch character. And one of the speculations was like it was going to be Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine in that scene.
Sure.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like, that doesn't stop the momentum of the story at all. All it does is you get a quick, oh, that's awesome, and you move on. Like,
and here's what I'm saying: every Wolverine constantly stabbing Deadpool is a better joke than a bunch of cameos, and that's what I'm saying. Reynolds has good taste.
Right, but you liked Henry the Cavalry cameo, didn't you?
One is
you
good.
Liked that one?
I did. Once is funny. Once.
What's the second one gonna do?
It's gonna take away from the better joke of stabbing him over and over.
They're all gonna stab him. It's funny. Like that's where you get the multiverse aspect. Getting like most of them are gonna be Hugh Jackman Wolverines, but then.
Yeah.
In certain instances, you're gonna get the Cavalry.
Yeah.
You're gonna get the Wizard Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I didn't like about the Henry Cavill cameo depiction was it looked like they put a prosthetic on his nose to make it like wider.
Yeah, he didn't look like Henry
It
Cavill.
looked weird. Yeah, like
did.
it took a second. Like, okay, it's Henry Cavill, but he doesn't look like Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
And I think it was like they did something to his nose. It looked like.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
The other main thing I really liked about what was presented, specifically Hugh Jackman Wolverine and his portrayal in this movie, is he got to play a different style of Wolverine because it's not the main Fox X-Men Wolverine.
Yeah.
He's a broken down, different version. But he got to play him more realistically angry as opposed to how he was quote unquote angry in the X-Men movies. This felt more like real anger.
I mean, they do spend several minutes stabbing each other in a car.
I know, that was that was another thing I liked is the amount of times they fought each other and bickered with each other, that it wasn't that first void fight and then they're immediate buddies after they're done fighting. It took a long time in the movie for them to finally get on the same page.
Yeah, actually, that would probably be my biggest criticism, is that Jackman and Reynolds didn't quite have the chemistry that you really want from... I mean, they were fine. It wasn't bad enough to take anything away from the movie, but like... You know, I've seen Reynolds with chemistry with other actors, and
What are you talking about?
I mean, it was fine. It was just...
What? Come on.
Sometimes I felt like Jackman was just there for the money, not for the love of the game.
I mean, both can be true. Both can be true. I thought their chemistry was excellent.
No, it was fine. It was just...
Because, like... You probably don't follow it in real life. The amount of posting they give each other in real life, the amount of pranks and stuff they like direct at each other, and just sarcasm towards like they have that real world dynamic.
Yeah.
So like when I'm seeing it on a screen, like I'm just seeing them bringing their real life to the screen.
Yeah, maybe you are being influenced in a way that I'm not, because I'm not
Possibly.
thinking about that. I'm just saying, like, I feel like Joey and Chandler had better chemistry.
They had like 10 years of screen time together to
That's true.
go back to the first
That's true.
season.
I was actually just
guarantee
thinking that.
it's not as good.
No, you're probably right. I was just thinking, I wonder if I compared, for some reason, my favorite sitcom is Friends. It holds a special place in my heart for a variety of personal reasons.
Huh?
I understand all of its problems. I
Uh-huh.
understand.
A lot of problems.
It immediately identifies me as not an intellectual champion.
Sure.
So be it.
Because you're not following their real life antics, don't have that added context. It goes back to all the cameos of characters in that context and knowing that. Like, there are people who came into this movie and watched it and knew nothing about the Elektra movie or never watched the Blade movies.
What are you getting out of this if you haven't seen all that? Legit.
But the movie itself was an enjoyable romp, regardless of whether you understood why Channing Tatum was Gambit.
I legit, unfortunately, we didn't see it with anyone who genuinely, maybe our aunt wouldn't know enough, and we should have asked her more about what she thought was funny in the movie.
Yeah.
But, like, if you've never seen Blade, if
Uh-huh.
you've never seen Elektra, if you don't know that, like, Ben Affleck was Daredevil,
Uh-huh.
like, all the, like, on and on, what jokes are you picking up on? It's just some lady with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle weapons, you know?
They're called size.
I'm not sure if that's, how do you pronounce it? The
Side.
personal sized tridents.
Okay.
Bite-sized tridents.
But okay, the Channing Tatum cameo. The context is he never got his Gambit movie.
Yeah.
If you don't know that, you could still enjoy his incomprehensible Cajun dialogue that
Yeah.
Deadpool constantly pokes fun at and
Yeah.
can't understand him. Like, that in itself is funny without that other context.
I guess the thing that's really getting me is, like, this movie would be so dumb without all that context. Like, the jokes that you'd be laughing at are so stupid.
Yes.
I mean, they're like dick and fart jokes. Are the
Yes.
only thing you'd be laughing at.
Yes.
Without 30 years of, like, Marvel cinematic movie knowledge.
Well, take the first Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
Most of those jokes, while having some context to the other Marvel comic book movie history,
Yeah.
weren't largely dependent on those jokes. They were more of the dick and fart joke variety.
I wonder if that was because Disney didn't own it. Like, that's what it could
Sure.
be, as many references.
But I'm
to-
saying
Yeah.
it was funny regardless.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it didn't rely heavily on context jokes.
I'd say there was also a pretty good love story at the center of Deadpool, and that Reynolds and whoever played his girlfriend,
Marina Baccarin.
I don't know that I've seen her in other stuff, but they have
She's actually
great
been-
chemistry together.
Yeah.
And the
She's
introduction of the relationship is pretty good at Deadpool. Like,
Yeah.
sex
Yes.
throughout the year stuff, like,
One could argue
yeah.
that this movie was also a love story between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
I don't know.
Deadpool loves Wolverine.
Yeah, I don't know how much more I have on Deadpool, to be honest.
Yeah. Obviously mentioned the things that, the couple things that I didn't like, specifically the cameos, or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Were there aspects of the movie you didn't like?
They're so long.
Okay.
Nobody need. What was the running time on it?
I don't know.
Like, it didn't help that
I'll put it up on screen.
It didn't help the 30 minutes of trailers, and I know I'm an old person. I know everyone has always complained about this. I don't care. Like, 30 minutes of trailers before the movie starts, and then just some people insist on getting to the theater maybe exceptionally early, especially with
We got there
assigned seats.
10 minutes before the start time of the trailers.
And so I watched 10, 15 minutes of ads, and then another 30 minutes of trailers. And then the movie itself is at least 2.5.
It was at least 2 hours. It was probably like what theaters
Definitely could be shorter.
what theaters need to do and they're not going to because trailers pay the bills, is that they need to provide two showtime numbers. The start time for the trailers and the start time of the actual movie. And the reason they can do this and people won't be affected negatively is because all theaters are you have to select your seat when you purchase your ticket.
Yeah.
It's no longer just a open seating system. So I bought the tickets online, I selected our seats. Those seats are reserved for us. You're welcome. So we could have shown up at 11:55 when the movie started. I looked at my phone when the movie actually started because it was even long for me.
Yeah.
That's 25 minutes of trailers.
25 minutes of trailers.
If they had said when we bought the ticket, it's gonna the actual movie kicks off at 11:55. We have our seats reserved. We can show up at 11:50 and be no worse for the wear for the actual movie. I'm okay with that in the system they have now set up. But like I said, they're never going to do that because trailers sell. It's advertising, and also you could do it on your own, but you're gambling on how long the trailers are going to go, and you might miss some of the beginning of the movie if you show up too late.
I'm usually opposed to this kind of legislation. I think we should have few and easy to follow laws, right? And also the level of specificity of a law, whatever. We should absolutely put a cap on how long before the opening scene of the movie the theaters have. You get, I'm going to say 10 minutes. I like trailers, actually. One of my favorite parts about going to see a movie in the theater, actually, is seeing the trailers. Trailers are sort of an artistic form onto their own. Oftentimes the trailer is far better than the movie.
Sometimes.
Most of the time, actually, I would say that's true. But, also, it can't be 8 trailers. And it's I feel like I paid to be advertised to at that point. And so, just legislate. You get 10 minutes before the showtime starts.
I think 4 trailers is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
5 is pushing it. It's starting to push it.
I always feel like I only expect 3. I feel like it was always 3 trailers when we were kids.
Maybe.
That's what I expect.
Yeah.
And also, I get that it's a rated R movie, but again, I was sitting next to my elderly, lovely aunt, and she was terrified by some of these movies.
Yeah.
There were jump scares in the trailers. What are you doing?
It was funny. She jumped at the Venom trailer.
Yeah.
And definitely think she was disturbed by the alien Romulus trailer.
I like stuff crawling under people's skin and stuff popping out of, or being vomited out is disgusting. And I get that it's a horror movie, but approved for general audiences. And again, I know it was an R-rated movie. I'm just saying, even then, there's R-rated Deadpool, and then there's R-rated Aliens Romulus. They're very different movies.
Yes.
I don't want to see stuff crawling under people's skin. It's gross.
Yeah.
That's why I don't watch horror movies.
Yeah.
So why are you... But I'm because I'm also forced to watch it. That's the other thing.
Yes.
I can't... It's not like even on TV where I could turn the channel. I'm forced to watch this. I legit closed my eyes at one point because I was like, that's gross. And I'm trying to eat my milk duds here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see it before my funny action comedy. So, could you not play that? Deadpool runs for 2 hours, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it. It's too long. I had to pee twice.
Did you have to go twice? I only saw you go once.
I went right at the beginning and then once in the middle. I held it long enough so that I didn't feel like our uncle would sigh at me for making a move.
Well, you made the mistake of getting a drink.
I got a big drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you do, you need... it was a rookie mistake.
I know.
What you... In the past, when I have gotten someone to drink at the theater, when it was more reasonably priced at $5 for the drink.
$24.
What you need to do is look up said runtime.
Yeah.
And you need to understand your own body. In that, for a 2-hour movie, you have to wait to start really drinking about 45 to 55 minutes in.
Probably.
Because then your pop's still going to be cold enough, or drink is going to be cold enough, and that by the time the movie's finished, you have finished your pop and your body has started cycling through, and you'll like roughly takes an hour for your body to need to go pee. So like in longer movies, like that's always what I've done.
Yeah.
Like I've waited a certain length of time into the movie before I'll really start drinking my soda.
Yes. I see the problem. You have self-control.
Okay.
I see where we're misunderstanding each other.
Yeah.
See, I have the next bite ready before I'm even done chewing the last bite, because I'm just greedily eating up everything. I have soda here. I'm gonna drink it. I'm gonna eat all the popcorn. I just shove like handfuls after handfuls. It's all gone.
Yeah.
And I feel bad about myself. And I have to pee. But my uncle just saw me pee like 25 minutes ago, and
that's why you gotta sit on the other side.
He was gonna sigh at me,
or you go the long way.
so I held it, and it did affect the middle section. How funny I found it. I think I would have found it funnier if I didn't have to pee so bad, and that I was waiting long enough that he wouldn't judge me too harshly.
Sure.
I still think he judged me harshly.
Yeah.
But you're right, I should not have gotten a soda. I also shouldn't have drank that pot of coffee before going to the movie.
That was your second mistake.
Yeah.
You gotta prepare. You gotta go in knowing your body.
I know. It was amateur.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's too long. All these movies are too long.
I think 2 hours for this type of movie and the story they were gonna tell is fine.
Rambo is 90 minutes.
Okay.
If you can do Rambo in 90 minutes, you can do Deadpool in 90 minutes.
No, because you need so much. You need all these side quests. It's a side quest story.
And I'd say importantly with a comedy also.
Rambo's very straightforward.
Yeah, that's the thing. They add in all the side quests and it draws out the runtime without adding anything to the story. Just, you gotta... I know I'm not saying anything new or original here, but these people are right who have already said this.
I want as much Deadpool Wolverine screen time as I can get. I would have taken a 3-hour movie.
Chris, because Deadpool's all of his action or like all of his stunts can be done with the mask on, and will be done with, or generally done with the mask on. Mm-hmm. There's going to be Deadpool movies from now until Ryan Reynolds looks like Michael Douglas.
I know.
Like,
I want it all.
There are going to be so many Deadpool movies.
I want it all.
Because
anyone
anyone can be in the mask.
I want it all.
Yeah.
I want as much as possible.
It'd be like Downey in those last, all the last Marvel movies he was in, where he would just come in and do voiceover, basically.
I wish they would put out 10 movies a year. I want this. This
like
is my
popcorn.
This is my childhood come to life. I don't care about any other movies. Just give me all the Marvel movies I can get.
At least Star Wars was making a point about the American Empire and Vietnam. And just like the Marvel movies say nothing. Like, find a political statement anywhere in any Marvel movie. Like, they need a forest fire and some auteurs to come in and have something to say.
Some have political statements, some don't.
Like what?
I don't care.
I don't care. Exactly. That's exactly the point of the Marvel movies is I don't care, just entertain me.
I want to see my toys in live action. That's all I want. And I want it to fit in the rules that they have set up.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Well,
that's what I got.
Yeah, just the ideology of the dominant culture. That's all I want. I don't want it to be challenged at all. I just want, like...
yeah, they can go do that challenging stuff in their own little sandbox. Yeah. If they were to throw that stuff in, I'm okay with that too. But I don't need it.
Mm-hmm. This is why the Purge movies are actually the artistic achievement of the same time period.
You're going to compare the Purge movies to the MCU.
The Purge movies,
okay,
after the first one especially, have such a strong political vision.
This is why I don't respect it. This is why I don't respect them. I'm sorry. I can't.
They are so, like, you know, whether you agree with them or not, they have just such a strong voice of, like, the oppressed are being oppressed, and however we choose to fight back is justified.
Mm-hmm.
And that, whatever. This isn't about the Purge movies, which we should totally do a podcast on. And it's not, I will say, somebody turned me on to that perspective of the Purge movies. It's not my own, but they're totally right. And they're just fantastic pieces of art for such trash.
The reason we can't have a discussion about Purge movies is because I'm never going to watch the Purge movies.
Such a mistake.
I don't like horror movies in general.
They're not really horror.
They involve, like, gruesome killing.
They do.
In a real world sense. In the way that Deadpool killing is comedic killing.
Deadpool took the bones of Wolverine.
I know, that was hilarious.
And murdered a field full of blue striped officers. I'm just saying. Like boys in blue.
Yeah.
You know, blue lives.
They have masks on, so they don't matter.
It is funny how that works, isn't it?
They're
You can't see
the
their face, yeah.
Star Trek red shirts.
Yeah, or stormtroopers.
Yeah.
It was like the point somebody, person made about like the clones and how it's like okay to murder them because they're clones, but it's like they're literally people.
Yeah.
Like full people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay to just be like murdering them.
Yeah.
Like it's not okay to kill a twin just because there's another genetically identical person.
Yeah.
That doesn't. The courts aren't like, you know, that's fine. We have another one of this one. We have a backup. We have a spare.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The opening sequence with him using Wolverine's bones to kill all those TVA agents was hilarious.
It wasn't doing much. Okay.
And him strapping on Wolverine claws and struggling to use them was even funnier.
Yeah. Actually, it didn't get me until he used the skull. For some reason, using the skull really tickled me. I don't know why. I just, like, it did seem so disrespectful to... I mean, again, Logan, it was a touching movie.
Uh-huh.
Especially, like, the ending. And, like, they make a lot of jokes about it.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. And then he's using his skull. And it was quite funny.
Uh-huh.
And again, this is where, like, I think Deadpool is the ultimate, it is art about the MCU itself.
Uh-huh.
And that's fascinating in a way.
Uh-huh.
It is the only Marvel movie with an actual message, which is, yes.
I'm looking forward to...
Look at how crazy our business plan was.
I'm looking forward to the people that have watched and listened to this point and are willing to put down in the comments the other Marvel movies that have messages.
Yeah. No, I'm for sure forgetting stuff. Yeah, don't hold me to anything I say. That is another rule of having a discussion with me, is I do not stand behind anything I say. You can't bring it up and hold it against me. My daughters do this all the time. They bring up stuff I said years ago, and they're like, Dad, didn't you say this? And I say, you can't hold anything I say against me. I stand by nothing. It is merely...
Believe in nothing.
I believe in nothing. It is all just to be entertaining, but don't hold anything I say against me. I'll just say you're right. Like, you're gonna sit there in the comments. You're gonna write out paragraphs and paragraphs of how I'm wrong, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, you're gonna get no satisfaction from me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't care. We are talking about pixels on a screen.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, don't think you're gonna get me, because you already did. You won. Like, good for you.
Changing topics.
Yeah.
One aspect of the movie that I think is both good and bad is the actress Emma Corrin, who plays Cassandra Nova.
Okay.
The ball chick.
Yeah.
I thought she was utterly fantastic portraying that character, because if you know the character from the comic books and how psychotic she is and evil she is, her portrayal of her felt so dead on to just the sheer, like I said, psychotic nature of that character.
Okay.
Like, how quickly she just sucked off Johnny Storm's skin and killed him. Like, that is what the character would do in the comic book.
Well, Johnny Storm did talk a lot of trash.
As we found out.
Yeah.
That was great.
I don't know. I was disappointed in that end credit sequence. I was like, you have a chance to put a real exclamation point on this movie. This was not it.
That should have been like the mid-credit scene.
This should have.
And then they should have had 2 post-credit scenes.
Well, again, I just that said, the behind the scenes footage of all the X-Men movies and all the Marvel movies, I really found surprisingly touching. Mm-hmm. I can't, but like that end credit. Yeah.
But getting back to my point,
okay.
She was so good,
yeah,
as Cassandra Nova that the fact that she dies. The bad part is that they kind of wasted her in only using her in this movie one time.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
like this was such a good portrayal of the character, and she's so evil and could wreak havoc on the X-Men cast and movies for multiple movies.
But can't they just go get another one?
I'm
not the one who makes these stupid rules.
Now you want to go multiverse on it?
The whole movie was about the multiverse.
Anyways,
all right.
You're not okay with Robert Downey Jr., but okay. So you saw the episode 5 in X-Men '97, the Genosha or Genosha genocide with the giant kaiju sentinel.
Okay, yeah, sure.
In the comic books, that's Cassandra Nova who unleashes that on Genosha.
Okay.
And kills 16 million mutants.
There's a lot of mutants.
Yeah.
They should not be letting them reproduce. That's a different podcast.
That's how, humanity took care of the problem and decimated their population.
Thank God.
But it's her who executes, that plan.
Sure.
And wipes out. She's just pure evil.
We're a great servant of humanity.
So, but she's a mutant. I would have loved to have seen that episode 5 of X-Men '97 in live action form.
Yeah.
I wanted her to be a big bad for the X-Men movies.
Yeah, that is sort of too bad because of Feige's vision that actors only play one character and that character has continuity basically throughout the MCU, right? That when they throw away a character, like they do with
this is the problem with a lot of the good Marvel villains is that they die and only are in one movie outside of Loki. Yeah,
famously Killmonger, I would say, was a real tragedy because ultimately Michael B. Jordan is so, not to speak poorly of the dead, but Michael B. Jordan is just so charismatic that he absolutely should be Black Panther. And they could have done that arc eventually, where he like they did, where Magneto takes over, X School or whatever. You can redeem him in a way that he becomes, and that's the Black Panther movie I wanted to see with Michael B. Jordan, just unfortunately we won't get that because ultimately that continuity requirement and everything with the character and the actor. Anyways, it is what I'm saying is it's too bad when they throw away characters like that in the MCU, like you're saying they did with Cassandra, because they can't really bring her back without it being a whole thing, and they probably aren't going to do that for the movies.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I loved Kate Blanchett as Hela in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
she was fantastic as Hela.
Yeah,
but again, it's wasted because she's only ever going to be in the one movie.
This is so funny. This is how little how bad I am with comics. I'm forgetting what the other comic book company's name.
DC,
the one that's on the time. I would say DC here is a great counterexample. It would have been too bad if the only Joker that could ever have been Joker in a DC movie is Jack Nicholson's Joker. Jack Nicholson as Joker is the only Joker. We would have missed out on some pretty interesting movies and pretty interesting portrayals of Joker if that was the case. And Marvel has sort of painted themselves in that corner with what I think was interesting to begin with, but much like the comic books themselves, eventually becomes a straitjacket where you can't move.
Again,
Yeah.
that is only going to last for so long.
I think that's right. I think you're right about that.
They will and are going to get rid of that policy, whatever.
Yeah.
That they,
I mean, they're already doing it with Downey Jr. And if they're willing to do it with Downey, who is the most famous, I would say.
Yeah. That is the problem with the villains. This is the beauty of the comic books. Is for the longest time, characters really didn't die. Good or bad.
Yeah.
Outside of notable exceptions.
Uh-huh.
At some point in the 2000s, that changed and everyone dies and comes back, dies and comes back.
Bucky.
Yeah.
Why kill him? I just never understand.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think it's dumb.
Send them back to their home planet.
Yeah. The last bit on the movie that I really liked was the choice of music. Very specifically, the ending. The Deadpool core battle scene on the street, and when they go to save the day, because they had the original version of like a prayer, which is a great song to score to.
Such a funny song to do.
Yes, and then when they're saving the day, getting a choral version, like a chorus, a choir version of the song, made it more emotional. It somehow, like, it just did for me. I was like, this is a beautiful moment.
And which makes it so much funnier to no, I definitely agree. I found Like a Prayer to be a very funny song to use there, and also how emotional it is for how stupid it is.
Right.
I do appreciate that juxtaposition.
Him checking out Hugh Jackman's abs right at the beginning.
Which, I'll say, Hugh Jackman's always done a good job getting jacked for his role as Wolverine, and it's impressive.
That was a very good emotional climax to the movie. Like them both self-sacrificing.
And also the other thing I don't care for in this is, like all modern movies, there's so many endings. I think I referenced War Games previously, but the end of War Games, the countdown, the computer stops and they throw papers up in the air in celebration, and that's the end of War Games.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else. You don't find out, they don't go through the court battle or anything afterwards. It's just, they throw paper in the air. It just ends. These movies have 4 endings.
Yeah.
It's just end it. I get everything will be fine. Just whatever.
Sure.
I already know that. This isn't that kind of movie where, stuff's sad at the end.
Yeah.
Stuff's awesome at the end. I get it. Just end it. Just stop with all the endings.
Sure. Yeah, I can acknowledge that point. The choice of music throughout the movie definitely made it better for me in the same way that James Gunn's soundtrack to the first Guardians, especially, each song enhanced the scene. Him killing all those TVA agents at the beginning to Bye 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 by NSYNC. Perfect choice.
Sure. Yeah. It is really hard to do too, I'd say, is using those pop music cues.
Mm-hmm.
I know sort of famously Goodfellas, Scorsese does it in Goodfellas a lot. And because the songs are so noticeable, they can really take over a scene.
Sure.
And they use that, they actually do that intentionally in both Guardians, the opening scene, and in this, and I mean all over the place, but using pop music cues to really emphasize a point or a joke or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard to do, I'd say.
Yeah.
It is a skill.
Yeah. But I had the same kind of emotional reaction to the first Guardians of the Galaxy trailer when Ooga Chaka song comes on. It hit something in me to have the visuals of those cosmic heroes with this song it got me so excited that I had that same reaction to the first Deadpool trailer when like a prayer kicks in. Like it just hit me in the same way. Like this is gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Like I was so excited for this one to go see it.
Well, I have to eat lunch.
Yeah.
So we just have to end here.
All right. It's been fun.
Yep. I genuinely be shocked if people listen to this.
Thanks for watching, and again, if you enjoyed this type of comic book related content, please give the video a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, comment below, and let's talk comics. Bye.